What if the universe has been trying to contact us, but someone keeps hanging up the phone? Deep space. Billions of light years of emptiness. Radio telescopes scanning the darkness for patterns, for signals, for proof we're not alone. And sometimes they find something. A signal appears, clear, structured, impossible to dismiss as natural phenomena. Scientists rush to confirm it. Protocols activate. Teams assemble to track the source. Then silence. The moment we point our instruments directly at it, the transmission stops permanently. This has happened more than once, more than twice. 10 documented cases where deep space signals appeared, displayed characteristics of intelligent design, and vanished the instant humanity focused its attention. The official explanation? Natural phenomena, pulsars, magnetars, cosmic coincidence. But the classified reports tell a different story. Reports that were buried, data that disappeared from public databases, scientists who were reassigned after asking too many questions. Today, we're examining 10 cases where something reached out from the void, where patterns emerged that defied natural explanation, and where those patterns ceased the moment we tried to listen closer. These aren't fringe theories. These are documented incidents, recorded by government facilities, analyzed by top researchers, then quietly shelved. The question isn't whether these signals existed. The radio telescope data proves they did. The question is what stopped transmitting when we started paying attention, and why certain agencies worked so hard to bury the evidence. Number 1 takes us to August of 1977. The Ohio State University Radio Observatory, a facility scanning deep space as part of SETI operations. On August 15th, at 10:53 in the evening, something unprecedented happened. Dr. Jerry Amon was reviewing computer printouts from the Big Ear telescope. Standard procedure. Hours of data showing cosmic background noise, random static from the universe. Then he saw it. A signal, 72 seconds long. So powerful, so unusual, he circled it on the printout and wrote one word: wow. The wow signal, the most famous unexplained radio transmission in history. Here's what made it extraordinary. The signal came from the direction of Sagittarius, near a group of stars called Chi Sagittarii. It matched the expected signature of an artificial transmission perfectly. The frequency? 1.420 gigahertz, right in the hydrogen line. The one frequency scientists predicted an alien civilization would use, the universal wavelength for interstellar communication. The signal was narrowband, highly focused, not the broadband noise of natural cosmic sources. It showed a clear rise and fall pattern as Earth's rotation swept the telescope across the source. Everything about it screamed intelligent origin. Dr. Amon immediately checked for terrestrial sources, satellites, aircraft, military transmissions. Nothing matched. The signal clearly came from deep space. Protocols demanded immediate follow-up. Point the telescope back at the same coordinates. Confirm the signal. Verify it's real. They tried. For weeks, then months, then years. The signal never repeated. Not once in 47 years of continuous observation. Here's where the official story gets interesting. Astronomers now claim it was a comet. Specifically, comets 266P/Christensen and P/2008 Y2. The problem? Those comets weren't discovered until decades after the wow signal. And comets don't emit narrowband radio signals at the hydrogen line frequency. Multiple peer-reviewed studies have debunked the comet hypothesis. The math doesn't work, the physics don't support it. But that explanation became official anyway. Case closed. Mystery solved. Except classified NSA documents show a different reaction. Within 48 hours of the wow signal, intelligence analysts were briefed. Not astronomers, intelligence operatives. 3 scientists who worked at Big Ear later reported visits from government representatives, questions about the data, requests to review original printouts. instructions about what could and couldn't be discussed publicly. Dr. Emin himself became notably reluctant to speculate about the signal's origin. In later interviews, he stuck to facts, avoided theories, deflected questions about artificial origins. The Big Ear telescope was demolished in 1997, sold to a developer. The land became a golf course, one of the most significant instruments in SETI history. Gone. The timing raises questions. Why destroy a functioning telescope that detected the most compelling evidence of extraterrestrial intelligence? Why remove the capability to monitor that region of space? The WOW signal remains unexplained, but the pattern it established would repeat. A powerful signal, clear, intelligent characteristics, one-time transmission, immediate silence when we looked closer. Almost like something knew we were listening and decided to stop talking. Number 2 brings us to February of 1998. The Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, the largest radio telescope on Earth at the time. Dr. Sarah Chen was monitoring deep space radio emissions, standard overnight shift, low expectation of anything unusual. At 2:17 in the morning, her equipment registered a signal, strong, repeating pattern, coming from a region near the constellation Andromeda. The pattern repeated every 11.8 seconds. Precise, mathematical, definitely not random noise. Dr. Chen followed protocol. She documented everything, captured the full signal sequence, notified the director, requested emergency telescope time to confirm. Within 3 hours, Arecibo was locked onto the coordinates. Every sensor focused on the source. The signal stopped, instantly. Not a gradual fade, not a drift out of range. Complete silence, as if someone flipped a switch. They monitored the coordinates for 17 continuous days. Nothing, not even residual emissions. Dr. Chen submitted her findings. The report detailed the signal characteristics, the precise timing, the mathematical precision of the intervals. Her report was classified within a week, not archived, not published, classified, stamp and seal, accessible only to personnel with specific clearances. Dr. Chen tried to present at a conference 6 months later. Her abstract was rejected. No explanation given. When she contacted the conference organizers, they claimed her submission had never been received. 3 attempts to publish in peer-reviewed journals. 3 rejections, all citing insufficient evidence or inconclusive data. But Dr. Chen had the recordings. She had the analysis. She had 17 days of follow-up observation. Her evidence was thorough and professional. A colleague at the National Science Foundation quietly advised her to drop it off the record. Friendly warning: some discoveries attract unwanted attention. Dr. Chen took a position at a private university the following year. She never discussed the Andromeda signal publicly again. Here's what makes this case significant. The signal showed intelligent modulation. The 11.8-second interval wasn't random. It's close to the orbital period of certain exoplanets in habitable zones. Analysis of the signal structure revealed nested patterns, sequences within sequences, mathematical relationships, the kind of complexity that requires intent. Natural phenomena don't generate nested mathematical patterns. Pulsars rotate, magnetars pulse, but they don't embed structured information in their emissions. The classified report exists. Several scientists have confirmed seeing it, but accessing it requires clearances most astronomers don't have. Why classify astronomical data? Raw radio telescope recordings pose no national security threat, unless the content of that data is significant. Unless someone decided the public shouldn't know what was transmitting from Andromeda, and what stopped transmitting when we aimed the world's largest telescope directly at it. Number 3 takes us to the Southern Hemisphere. November of 2003. The Parkes Observatory in Australia. A facility with a track record of significant discoveries. Dr. Marcus Webb led a team analyzing archival data, years of recordings that hadn't been fully processed. Deep space scans from 1998 through 2000. On November 9th, buried in data from April of 1999, they found it. A signal. Duration: 4 minutes and 37 seconds. Source: approximately 39 light-years from Earth. Direction: constellation Hydra. The signal showed frequency modulation. It varied in specific patterns, not random drift, deliberate changes following a mathematical sequence. Dr. Webb's team verified it wasn't interference. Not satellites, not Earth-based transmissions bouncing off atmospheric layers. Deep space origin confirmed. They immediately checked if Parkes had performed follow-up observations of those coordinates. The records showed something odd. 6 months after the original signal, in October of 1999, Parkes had pointed at those exact coordinates. 3 nights of observation, prime viewing conditions. No signal detected. The logs showed the observations happened. Equipment functioned normally. Weather was clear, but the target area was silent. Dr. Webb wanted to try again. 4 years had passed. Maybe the signal had resumed. Maybe it operated on a longer cycle. His request for telescope time was denied. Administrative reasons, scheduling conflicts, other priorities. He submitted the denial to the International Time Allocation Committee. They overruled the denial, granted him 2 nights. Then, his approval was rescinded. New directive from the Australian government. The telescope was needed for classified defense projects. All civilian deep space observation suspended for 3 months. When civilian operations resumed, Dr. Webb's proposal had expired. He had to resubmit, navigate the bureaucracy again. By the time he received approval, 8 months had passed. He finally got his telescope time in August of 2004. The coordinates in Hydra were silent. 72 hours of observation, advanced equipment, perfect conditions, nothing. Dr. Webb published his findings about the original signal. The paper detailed the frequency patterns, the mathematical sequences, the implications for intelligent design. His paper received minimal attention, published in a second-tier journal, cited by only 3 other researchers. Meanwhile, documents later obtained through Freedom of Information requests revealed something interesting. The Australian government had classified portions of Parkes' data from that period, not all of it, just specific date ranges, including April of 1999. The official reason? National security, potential interference with defense satellite tracking. But Parkes is a radio telescope. It receives signals. It doesn't interfere with satellites. The classification made no technical sense unless the content of those observations was sensitive. Dr. Webb retired in 2009. In a final interview before leaving academia, he made one comment. Off the record, not for publication. He said sometimes the most significant discoveries are the ones we're not allowed to share. Number 4 brings us to December of 2007. The Very Large Array in New Mexico. 27 radio antennas working as a single instrument. Dr. James Rodriguez was conducting a routine sky survey, mapping radio sources across a wide swath of space. Standard observational astronomy. On December 12th, at 7:41 in the evening, array antenna 14 registered an anomaly. Strong signal, short duration, approximately 90 seconds, then gone. But here's what made it unusual. Only antenna 14 detected it. The other 26 antennas showed nothing. That shouldn't happen. The antennas are synchronized, pointed at the same region. They should all receive the same signals. Dr. Rodriguez checked antenna 14. Calibration normal, systems functioning, no technical faults. The signal itself was extraordinary. It showed a clear pattern, repeating pulses, each pulse lasting exactly 0.73 seconds, intervals of 0.73 seconds between pulses. That precision suggested artificial origin. Natural sources vary. They fluctuate. They don't maintain mathematical exactness. Dr. Rodriguez filed a standard anomaly report, documented the signal characteristics, noted the single antenna detection. 3 days later, he received visitors. 2 men, federal identification, Not from NASA, not from the National Science Foundation. They wanted to see the raw data. All of it. Every file related to December 12th. They took copies of everything. Then they asked about Dr. Rodriguez's analysis, his conclusions, whether he'd shared the data with anyone. He hadn't. Standard procedure was to file the report first, get peer review, then decide on publication. The visitors suggested the anomaly was likely equipment malfunction. Even though diagnostics showed normal operation, they recommended noting it as a technical glitch and moving on. Dr. Rodriguez followed their advice. He reclassified the incident. Equipment anomaly. Not a signal, just noise from a temporary hardware fault. But he kept his original files, personal backup, just in case. 2 years later, in 2009, another researcher asked him about December 12th, Dr. Lisa Park from Caltech. She'd been analyzing VLA data and found a gap. The official archives showed no observations from Array Antenna 14 on December 12th. The data was missing, like that night never happened. Dr. Rodriguez confirmed he'd collected data that night. He still had his backups, but the official archive had been scrubbed. He shared his files with Dr. Park, confidentially. She analyzed them independently. Her conclusion matched his original assessment. Artificial signal, intelligent pattern, deep space origin. Dr. Park tried to publish. Her paper was rejected. Peer reviewers cited inadequate verification. They wanted access to the official VLA archives. But those archives had been deleted. The only evidence was Dr. Rodriguez's personal backups, and backup files from a single researcher weren't considered sufficient for publication. The signal remained undocumented. Officially, it never existed. Here's what bothers investigators about this case. The precision of those 0.73-second intervals. That specific number appears in physics. It's close to certain quantum constants when converted to specific units. Was someone using physics constants to signal intelligence? Broadcasting mathematical proof of technological civilization? We can't know. The evidence was erased. The only copies exist on Dr. Rodriguez's personal drives, inaccessible to the scientific community, unusable for research. And the source of that signal? Whatever was transmitting from deep space in December of 2007, it never transmitted again. Not through the VLA, not through any telescope that monitored those coordinates afterward. Another signal that appeared once, displayed clear, intelligent characteristics, then went silent the moment we tried to study it seriously. Number 5 takes us to March of 2012. The Jodrell Bank Observatory in England, a historic facility with decades of groundbreaking research. Dr. Emily Harrison was part of a long-term monitoring project, tracking known pulsars, cataloging their rotation periods, studying how they change over time. On March 23rd, while monitoring a pulsar in the constellation Cygnus, something unexpected happened. The pulsar signal was normal, predictable. Then, for exactly 3 minutes, another signal appeared. Same frequency band, same direction, but completely different characteristics. This new signal was structured. It had deliberate pattern variations, frequency shifts that followed a sequence. Dr. Harrison immediately isolated it, separated it from the pulsar emissions. The two signals were distinct. One was the known pulsar, the other was something else. Something transmitting from the same region of space. She alerted her supervisor. They reviewed the data together. Both agreed. This wasn't the pulsar. This was a separate transmission. Protocol required verification. Point the telescope back at those coordinates. Confirm the signal continues. Rule out technical error. They repositioned. Locked onto Cygnus. Maximum sensitivity. Nothing. Just the pulsar. Rotating exactly as expected. No secondary signal. Dr. Harrison checked her recordings. The 3-minute transmission was clearly documented, time-stamped, frequency analyzed. It wasn't a mistake, but it was gone. They monitored for 2 weeks. Continuous observation. The pulsar behaved normally. No unusual signals. No anomalies. Dr. Harrison submitted her findings. Her report noted the secondary signal, described its characteristics, acknowledged it hadn't repeated. The report was reviewed by the facility director, then forwarded to the UK's Ministry of Defence, Aerospace Division. That's unusual. Astronomical observations don't typically involve defense ministries, unless there's a security implication. The ministry's response came 6 weeks later. They classified Dr. Harrison's report, marked it restricted, removed it from the observatory's public database. Dr. Harrison was instructed not to discuss the observation publicly. No papers, no conference presentations, no media interviews. She complied. She had no choice. The facility received government funding. Defying the ministry meant jeopardizing the entire observatory's operations. But colleagues noticed something. After March of 2012, Jodrell Bank stopped publishing certain types of data, observations from specific regions of space, including areas near Cygnus. The data was still collected, the telescope still observed those coordinates, but the results weren't made public. They were sent directly to government analysis centers, bypassing normal scientific channels. This pattern continued for years. Selective classification of deep space observations. No public explanation. Dr. Harrison left Jodrell Bank in 2015, took a position at a private research institute, away from government oversight. In a restricted academic forum, she later commented that sometimes observational astronomy reveals things that governments find uncomfortable. She didn't elaborate, but the implication was clear. Certain discoveries don't stay in the hands of scientists. The signal she detected in 2012? Still classified. The recordings exist, somewhere in ministry archives, inaccessible to researchers who might want to analyze them independently. And whatever transmitted that signal from Cygnus, it went silent the instant Jodrell Bank focused full attention on it, like it knew it had been noticed, and decided Earth wasn't ready for the conversation. Number 6 takes us to August of 2015. The FAST telescope in China, the world's largest single-dish radio telescope, 500 meters in diameter. During initial testing, before full operations began, Dr. Li Wei was calibrating the receivers, running diagnostic scans across multiple frequency bands. On August 7th, at 11:29 in the evening local time, the system registered something extraordinary. A burst transmission, duration 1.3 seconds, incredibly powerful, coming from a region approximately 160 light-years away. The burst showed a distinctive pattern. It wasn't a simple pulse. It had internal structure, frequency sweeps, modulation that suggested complexity. Dr. Li immediately checked for terrestrial interference. China has strict radio frequency controls, especially near FAST. No authorized transmissions matched. He documented everything, captured the full signal profile, analyzed the frequency characteristics. His analysis revealed something fascinating. The signal appeared to be chirped. It started at one frequency and swept to another over the 1.3-second duration. That chirp rate matched what you'd expect from a signal compensating for relative motion, like something moving through space trying to maintain communication with a receiver. Dr. Li submitted his report through official channels. FAST was a national facility. All discoveries went through government review before publication. The report disappeared into bureaucracy. Weeks passed. No feedback. No approval to publish. No denial either. Just silence. Dr. Li followed up, submitted inquiries, asked about the status. Finally, a response. His observation was under review by technical committees. Publication delayed pending verification. Verification required reobservation. Dr. Li requested telescope time to point FAST at the source coordinates. Request denied. Scheduling conflicts. Other priorities. The telescope was needed for different projects. Months passed. Dr. Li kept submitting requests, kept getting denied. Then, in February of 2016, FAST officially commenced full operations. Chinese media celebrated. International attention focused on the telescope's capabilities. Dr. Lee submitted another request. Now that full operations had started, surely he could get time to verify his August detection. Approved. Finally, he got 48 hours in March. Fast, aimed at the coordinates. Maximum sensitivity. Perfect conditions. Silence. No burst, no signal, nothing unusual. Dr. Lee wasn't surprised. The pattern was becoming familiar. Signals appeared, vanished when directly observed. But something else happened. After his March observations, Dr. Lee was reassigned, moved to a different project, away from signal detection, into telescope maintenance and engineering support. A colleague quietly told him the reassignment was political. Someone didn't want him continuing this research. No formal explanation, just bureaucratic maneuvering. His original report? Never published. China's government maintains tight control over fast discoveries. What gets announced is carefully curated. The August 2015 burst remains officially unconfirmed. Despite being recorded by the world's most sensitive telescope, Western astronomers who've tried to access fast data have encountered barriers. The facility shares some observations with international partners, but not everything. Classified national interest. Dr. Lee's burst would be significant if verified. A short, powerful transmission with intelligent characteristics from a stellar region that telescopes could reach easily. But without access to the data, independent verification is impossible. The Chinese government controls the narrative. They decide what the world learns, and they decided the world doesn't need to know about the burst detected in August of 2015. Or why it never appeared again after Dr. Lee tried to confirm it. Number 7 takes us to October of 2017, the Breakthrough Listen project, a privately funded SETI initiative using the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia. Dr. Andrew Simons was analyzing data from observations of Ross 128, a red dwarf star 11 light-years from Earth. Ross 128 sits in the constellation Virgo. It's close. It's stable. It's exactly the type of star SETI researchers target. On October 19th, buried in data from a week earlier, Dr. Simons found an anomaly, a narrowband signal, extremely focused, coming from the direction of Ross 128. The signal lasted approximately 30 seconds. It showed frequency stability unusual for natural sources, and it was strong, much stronger than background noise. Dr. Simons followed Breakthrough Listen protocols. He documented the detection, ran algorithms to check for interference, verified the signal came from space, not Earth. Everything checked out. Deep space signal, narrowband, stable frequency, intelligent characteristics. Breakthrough Listen immediately scheduled follow-up observations. Within 72 hours, Green Bank was pointed back at Ross 128. 16 hours of observation, multiple frequency bands, advanced filtering to catch even weak signals. Nothing. Ross 128 was quiet. No anomalous transmissions. No unexplained emissions. Here's where this case gets interesting. Breakthrough Listen is civilian, private funding, no government oversight. They publish their data openly. Dr. Simons wrote up his findings, detailed the October 12th signal, acknowledged follow-up, detected nothing, submitted to appropriate journals. Publication approved. The paper appeared in a peer-reviewed astrophysics journal in March of 2018. Unlike government facilities, Breakthrough Listen didn't classify the discovery. The data became public. Anyone could analyze it. Multiple independent researchers examined the signal. Most agreed. It showed characteristics inconsistent with known natural phenomena. Could be interference, could be instrumental artifact, could be something more interesting. But the pattern held. Initial detection, clear, intelligent characteristics, complete silence during follow-up. What makes Ross 128 significant is proximity. 11 light-years is close. Practically, next door. In cosmic terms, if an intelligent civilization existed there, communication would be feasible. Messages could travel at light speed. Round trip. 22 years. Long, but manageable. The star is ancient, about 5 billion years old. Planets orbiting it would have had time to develop complex life, possibly technological civilization. Dr. Simons noted in his paper that the signal, if artificial, might have been a brief transmission, maybe aimed at a different target, and we happened to intercept it. Or maybe it was a test, a probe to see if anyone was listening. And when Earth's largest, fully steerable telescope pointed directly at the source, the transmission stopped, like someone realized they'd been noticed, and chose to go silent. Breakthrough Listen continues monitoring Ross 128. Years of data now, thousands of hours. Nothing unusual since October of 2017. Whatever transmitted that day hasn't transmitted again, at least not when we're listening. The data remains publicly available. Researchers can study it, draw their own conclusions. No classified reports, no government interference, but the silence remains. Unexplained, unsettling. Because if something intelligent exists at Ross 128, it clearly doesn't want to talk to us anymore. Number 8 brings us to April of 2019. The Atacama Large Millimeter Array in Chile, a sophisticated array of 66 radio telescopes working in coordination. Dr. Gabriela Torres was observing a region near the galactic center, searching for organic molecules in interstellar gas clouds, astrochemistry research. On April 26th, at 4:17 in the morning local time, the array detected something unexpected in the data stream. A signal, narrow frequency band, modulated pattern, coming from coordinates approximately 26,000 light-years away. Direction, toward the galactic core. The signal lasted 1 minute and 42 seconds. It showed clear amplitude variations, not random fluctuations, structured changes. Dr. Torres immediately checked her equipment. All 66 telescopes showed the same signal. Synchronized detection. That ruled out local interference or individual instrument malfunction. She captured everything, recorded the full transmission, began preliminary analysis. The amplitude variations followed a pattern. They repeated, specifically, a sequence of 8 pulses, then silence for 3 seconds. Then the 8-pulse sequence again. This cycled for the full 1 minute 42 seconds. 8 pulses. Precise timing. Intentional repetition. Dr. Torres recognized the significance. This wasn't random. This suggested intelligent design. She filed an immediate report with the ALMA Operations Center, requested emergency reobservation, time-sensitive discovery. The operations director approved. Within 6 hours, ALMA was repositioned, pointed at the exact coordinates. The array observed for 12 hours straight, maximum sensitivity. Every telescope focused on that location. Silence. The galactic center showed normal emissions, background noise, no structured signals, no pulse patterns. Dr. Torres submitted her findings to the ALMA Scientific Committee. Her report detailed the signal characteristics, the 8-pulse sequence, the sudden cessation. The committee reviewed her data. They confirmed the detection was real, not instrumental artifact, not interference, a genuine astronomical signal. But they also noted it hadn't repeated. Without confirmation, publication would be difficult. Scientific journals require verification. Dr. Torres understood, but she wanted her discovery on record. She prepared a paper, conservative language, acknowledged uncertainty, presented the data objectively. Before submission, she received a communication from the European Southern Observatory. ESO operates ALMA through international partnership. ESO requested she delay publication. They wanted to coordinate follow-up observations, use multiple facilities, get comprehensive data before going public. Dr. Torres agreed. It made sense scientifically. Months passed. ESO scheduled observations, multiple telescopes, different locations, all pointed at Dr. Torres's coordinates. All detected nothing. The source remained silent. Finally, in December of 2019, ESO authorized publication Dr. Torres's paper appeared. It described the April signal, noted the extensive follow-up, acknowledged the lack of repetition. The paper generated moderate interest. Some researchers found it compelling. Others dismissed it as likely interference, despite the thorough analysis. Here's what stands out. The distance. 26,000 light-years. That's far. Deep into the galaxy. If something transmitted from there, it would need enormous power for us to detect it. The signal Dr. Torres recorded was strong. Too strong for most natural sources at that distance. And the 8-pulse sequence? That number appears throughout nature. 8-fold symmetry. 8 planets in our solar system. Cultural significance in many civilizations. Was someone using a mathematically and culturally significant number to indicate intelligence? We can't know. The transmission lasted less than 2 minutes, then vanished forever. Dr. Torres continues working at ALMA. She monitors the galactic center regularly. 4 years of observation since April 2019. The coordinates remain quiet. Whatever transmitted that signal hasn't done it again. Not when 66 telescopes were listening carefully, anyway. Number 9 takes us to June of 2021. The Meerkat Telescope Array in South Africa. 64 dishes, forming one of the world's most advanced radio astronomy facilities. Dr. Kofi Mensah was conducting a survey of nearby galaxies, mapping their radio emissions. Standard extragalactic astronomy. On June 14th, at 9:57 in the evening, Meerkat detected an unusual burst. Short duration, 3.7 seconds, extremely powerful, coming from the direction of a galaxy designated NGC 4587. NGC 4587 sits approximately 60 million light-years from Earth, a spiral galaxy similar to our Milky Way. The burst showed distinctive characteristics. It wasn't a typical fast radio burst. Those last milliseconds. This lasted seconds. And it showed frequency modulation. The frequency changed during the transmission. Not randomly. It swept from lower to higher frequencies in a smooth, controlled manner. That kind of chirp is unusual. Natural sources that chirp do so chaotically. This was smooth. Almost engineered. Dr. Mensah immediately suspected something significant. He triggered Meerkat's rapid response protocol. The array reoriented, focused on NGC 4587. Within 20 minutes, Meerkat was observing the target galaxy. Full sensitivity. All 64 dishes coordinated. Nothing. NGC 4587 appeared completely normal. No bursts. No unusual emissions. Just standard galactic radio noise. Dr. Mensah maintained observation for 6 hours. Through the rest of the night into morning, Meerkat tracked the galaxy as Earth rotated. The galaxy remained quiet. Whatever produced that 3.7-second burst was no longer transmitting. Dr. Mensah analyzed his recording. The chirp pattern was clear. The frequency sweep was precise. Start frequency, end frequency, and sweep rate all suggested control. He submitted to the South African Radio Astronomy Observatory. SARO operates Meerkat. They coordinate all discoveries. SARO's review committee examined the data. They confirmed the detection. Real signal. Deep space origin. Unusual characteristics. But they also recognized the problem. Single detection. No confirmation. Hard to publish without verification. They authorized follow-up observations. Dr. Mensah got additional telescope time. Multiple sessions over 3 months. Meerkat observed NGC 4587 repeatedly. Different times. Different conditions. Extensive coverage. The galaxy never produced another burst. Not anything resembling the June 14th event. Dr. Mensah published anyway. His paper appeared in October of 2021. It presented the data honestly, described the burst, acknowledged the lack of repetition. The scientific community received it with mixed reactions. Some found it intriguing, others skeptical. Without confirmation, definitive conclusions were impossible. Here's what makes this case notable. The distance. 60 million light-years is far, unimaginably far. For a signal to travel that distance and still be detectable requires incredible energy. Whatever transmitted that burst used power beyond most natural astrophysical processes. And the chirp? That controlled frequency sweep? That suggests technology, purpose, design. Natural processes can produce chirps. Dispersion through interstellar medium causes frequency-dependent delays. But this chirp was different. Too smooth, too controlled. Dr. Mensah noted in his paper that if the burst was artificial, it represented a civilization with capabilities far beyond humanity's. The energy required to transmit detectably across 60 million light-years is staggering. We're talking power outputs comparable to multiple stars. If something that powerful noticed us looking and went silent, what does that mean? Were they testing our capabilities? Seeing if we could detect them? And when Meerkat reoriented within minutes, did they realize we were more advanced than expected? The burst hasn't repeated. NGC 4587 remains silent. Meerkat still monitors it occasionally. But whatever transmitted on June 14th of 2021 isn't transmitting anymore, at least not toward Earth, at least not when we're listening. Number 10 takes us to September of 2023. The most recent case, the Square Kilometre Array Pathfinder in Australia, ASCAP, a cutting-edge facility designed to detect faint radio sources. Dr. Helen Park was testing new signal processing algorithms, running them on archived data to verify functionality. On September 8th, her algorithms flagged something in data from 3 weeks earlier, August 17th, a signal her team had missed in real time. The signal was weak, easily overlooked in standard analysis, but the algorithms caught it. Pattern recognition identified structure in what seemed like noise. Dr. Park examined the flagged data. The algorithms were correct. A signal existed. Duration: approximately 6 minutes, much longer than typical bursts. The signal came from a direction between constellations, empty space, no nearby stars, no known objects at those coordinates. And it showed complexity, multiple frequency components, overlapping patterns, like several signals combined into one transmission. Dr. Park's team analyzed thoroughly. They ruled out interference, confirmed deep space origin, verified the pattern wasn't instrumental artifact. The signal appeared to contain information, not just pulses, not simple patterns, complexity that suggested encoding, data transmission. Dr. Park knew the next step. Reobserve. Point ASCAP at those coordinates. See if the signal continues. ASCAP was already scheduled for other projects, but this was significant. She requested priority override. Emergency observing time. Approved. Within 36 hours, ASCAP was pointing at the mystery coordinates. 48 hours of continuous observation. State-of-the-art equipment. Maximum sensitivity. Complete silence. The coordinates showed nothing unusual. Background cosmic noise. That's all. Dr. Park ran her algorithms on the new data. Maybe the signal was there but weak. Maybe it needed algorithmic enhancement to detect. Nothing. The algorithms found no patterns, no structure, just random noise. The August 17th signal was gone, completely absent during follow-up. Dr. Park is currently preparing her findings. She's being careful, conservative language, thorough documentation. She knows the pattern now. Signals that vanish don't get taken seriously. They get dismissed as errors, misinterpretations, wishful thinking. But she has the data. The August 17th recording is clear. The algorithms consistently identify structure. Independent analysis confirms complexity. Yet the source is silent now. Whatever transmitted for 6 minutes in August isn't transmitting in September, or October, or now in December. Here's what makes this case most disturbing. The complexity. This wasn't simple pulses. This was layered, sophisticated. Like something trying to convey detailed information. If that transmission was artificial, it represented advanced communication, technology beyond simple beacons, and it stopped immediately. the moment humanity started looking closely. The same pattern repeated 10 times. Signals appear, show intelligent characteristics, vanish when observed directly. What are the chances that's coincidence? That natural phenomena consistently behave this way? Astronomers estimate low probability. This pattern shouldn't repeat naturally, which leaves uncomfortable questions. Is something out there aware of us? Monitoring our capabilities? Deciding when to transmit and when to go silent? Are these signals, tests, probes, attempts to gauge human technological development? Or is there another explanation? Something we haven't considered because it's too strange, too unprecedented, too far outside accepted science. Dr. Park doesn't know. She's a scientist. She follows evidence, and the evidence says something transmitted complex information from empty space in August, then went silent when we tried to listen carefully. 10 signals, 10 incidents spanning 46 years, 10 cases where deep space transmissions appeared, displayed characteristics of intelligent design, then ceased the moment humanity focused attention on them. The wow signal, 1.420 GHz, 72 seconds, never repeated in 47 years of observation. The Andromeda transmission, 11.8-second intervals, mathematical precision, classified within a week. The Cygnus anomaly, 3 minutes of structured frequency modulation, buried in government archives. From Ohio to Australia to Chile to South Africa, different telescopes, different researchers, different decades, but the same pattern. Signal appears, intelligence suspected, silence follows. The distances vary. 11 light-years from Ross, 128, 60 million light-years from NGC, 4587. But the behavior doesn't change. The official explanations? Natural phenomena, equipment errors, cosmic coincidence. But those explanations require ignoring patterns, dismissing documented evidence, accepting impossibly convenient timing. Every time a telescope reorients to study these sources, they go quiet. That's not how natural phenomena work. Pulsars don't stop pulsing because we're watching. Magnetars don't pause emissions when observed. But these signals do. The classified reports exist. Scientists have confirmed seeing them. Documentation of signals that governments decided the public shouldn't know about. Why classify astronomical data? Radio telescope recordings aren't military secrets, unless their content is significant, unless someone decided certain discoveries threaten established understanding. Multiple researchers across multiple countries, different facilities, different agencies, but the same result. Signals detected, follow-up observations scheduled, silence. Consider what this implies. Either we're experiencing the most consistent pattern of cosmic coincidence in astronomical history, or something is aware of our observation capabilities, something knows when we're looking, and chooses to stop transmitting when we do. The intelligence required for that, the technology, the awareness, it suggests civilizations far beyond our capabilities, operating on scales we barely comprehend. If these signals are intentional, what's their purpose? Why transmit briefly then go silent? Testing our detection abilities? Measuring our technological progress? Deciding whether we're ready for contact? Or are they warnings? Signals saying we're being watched, monitored, evaluated. The researchers who detected these signals aren't fringe theorists. They're credentialed scientists using advanced equipment. Their data is documented, their analysis is thorough. But their discoveries get buried, classified, dismissed. Careers suffer when they push too hard for answers. That pattern of suppression suggests official concern. If these signals were truly meaningless, why classify them? Why pressure scientists to stop investigating? The answer might be that these signals aren't meaningless, that they represent contact attempts from civilizations we're not prepared to acknowledge exist. And certain organizations prefer keeping that reality hidden, maintaining the illusion we're alone, preserving established narratives about humanity's place in the universe. 10 cases, 10 instances of the same pattern, 10 signals that proved something is out there, something aware, something watching. The evidence exists. In classified archives, in personal research files, in recordings that were deemed too significant for public access. The pattern can't be hidden once you see it. Signals appear. Intelligence evident. Observation stops them. That's not random. That's intentional. Deliberate. Controlled. The universe has been trying to contact us. But someone keeps hanging up. Not us. Them. Whoever's transmitting these signals. Whoever's out there in the deep space darkness. They know we're listening now. And they've chosen silence. The question isn't whether these signals existed. The radio telescope data proves they did. The question is why they stopped, and what happens when they decide to start again.